Denzel Washington once said this: if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. If you watch the news, you're misinformed. Now, with that said, although I agree with you that there shouldn't be an excuse while we're ignorant at this point, however, if you go to Mexico and you open up a Mexican magazine, you're not going to see somebody that looks like me. You're going to see white folks, white Mexicans. In Wakanda Forever, when Tenoch Huerta played Namor or Kukulkan, what was the reaction of Mexican media because a indigenous brown-skinned man was the representation of Mexico? What was it?
Oh man, it was horrible. It was horrible. Like honestly, like I was not even interested in watching the movie. But the stuff that I was seeing online, the whole fact that, he's Mayan.
Yeah.
It was a lot of outlash from the upper white class to where the impact they made positively was for us.
Yeah.
To watch the movies, the ones that are dark skinned. And one thing that they were driving him around, I think it was Mexico City, I forgot what city he was in. But they were driving him around and a lot of the graffiti artists were doing murals of him. And what a lot of people don't understand that in the hood or in the ghettos or in the barrios, wherever you're from, having a mural of you, it means that you're somebody to the hood.
Yep.
It means somebody for the underdogs.
Yep.
And you see his reaction, he started tearing up because he knew that was more important than any award he could get. And to me, I think it's one of them things that, like, the ones that didn't like it, those were really true haters. The ones that were nitpicking at it. And the ones that we never seen somebody like him be in that role, we embrace. Bro, I tear up going to Walmart and seeing his toy on the shelves. Why? Because he was a brown-skinned guy, and more than anything, he was from Mexico. Like, screw Coco, Speedy Gonzalez. This is legit hero that a lot of kids that have issues with their color of skin are going to look up to.
Here comes a brown-skinned, indigenous man from Mexico to represent Mexico on a big screen. And as a result, the Mexican media says that is not the proper representation of Mexico. And I think to myself, so if not an indigenous looking brown man, what exactly is then the proper representation of Mexico? Well, for this whole time, up until Tenoch Huerta, up until Namor, Kukulkan, what has been the proper representation of Mexico? A white man. So, although I agree fully with you that at this point we shouldn't be ignorant, there is a systemic effort to keep us ignorant because the fact that Mexican media had a problem with what represents Mexico on the big screen was a brown face, an indigenous man, says a lot about what Mexico is attempting to systemically represent. I agree 100% with you that there should be no excuse to be ignorant, but there is a whole machine making sure that, as Denzel Washington said, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. If you watch it, you're misinformed.
They are right. That's not the representation of Mexico. Here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Because Namor represents Mexico before it was conquered.
Of course. Of course.
So, of course he's not going to represent what Mexico is, because Namor is taking it back to before we were colonized. So yeah, they're absolutely right. He does not represent the Mexico that it is today. He represents the Mexico that was there before it got conquered, got stripped away. So yeah, they are right. They are correct. That's not the real Mexico, or the Mexico of today.
So, coming back in full circle, And that is why we are in the condition of calling each other the No Sabo kid. Because the representation of Mexico is supposed to be the Spaniard, Spanish speaking white man. So now we're here saying to each other, you don't speak Spanish? Oh, then you're not a real Mexican. So that's the reason why the media, that doesn't represent Mexico. That's not the proper representation of Mexico. Yeah, you're right. If you consider Mexico conquered by the Spaniard, and what's supposed to represent Mexico is now the Spaniard. So yes, I 100% agree with you. But now that is why I say there is a whole systemic effort to make sure that you and I don't know who we are. The No Sabo kids. Somewhere along the lines, we Mexicans and or Chicanos raised or born in this country are being made fun of or rejected by Mexicans from Mexico because we either don't speak Spanish or speak it very poorly, and we are known as the No Sabo kids. Now, here's the interesting part to me. Spanish is not the native language of Mexico. Spanish was forced onto the native people of Mexico. The reason why we speak Spanish is because it was forced onto us by the Spaniards that arrived. So, the fact that we've arrived to the point where we are humiliating each other, making fun of each other, and even rejecting and or excluding our own people because we can't speak Spanish, meaning the language of our colonizer, of the people who did their very best to destroy us. And we've come up with a phrase, the No Sabo kids. I'm thinking this is the result of lacking so much education as a whole people. It makes me so sad to see that we are in a way hating each other because we cannot speak the language of our colonizer. This term, No Sabo kid, oh my God, it irks me to the bone. It burns because not that we should make fun of anybody at all for not speaking a language, but if you must create some kind of issue of why we native people of these lands can't speak a language, it should be our indigenous language. Why aren't we saying to each other, hey, you're a no Nahuatl kid, a no Mixtec kid, a no Zapotec kid? But no, we say to each other, no Sabo kid, as if we should be obligated to speak Spanish. Why should we be obligated to speak Spanish? That in itself is contributing to the ongoing ethnic cleansing. As is, we don't even know what we really are. We know we're indigenous. Some of us, unfortunately, ashamed of it, but we know that we are. But yet, we can't really pinpoint exactly which tribe. And now yet, we're here making fun of each other and or excluding each other because we can't speak Spanish? My